United States of America, Northwest Coast, August 1998. In front of the Oregon Coast Aquarium, a crowd of fans from all over the country is waiting. Their idol is 7 meters long, almost 24 feet, and weighs 5 tons. And he's a killer. Keiko, also known as Willy, the most famous killer whale of all times. He's the star of a movie series responsible for the creation of a cult. His fans have the pictures before their eyes and the music in their ears, and they carry a dream of seeing Willy free.
When it first came in, it was all the way down against the body. Now it's come up about that far. I think it may come up a little bit more. It'll never recover.
9,500 kilometers, over 5,000 miles away, Heimaey, Iceland, a volcanic island. And exactly here on this coast, the dream will be made real. Teams of reporters and photographers from the USA are focusing their cameras on a small bay. In the distance, a rare construction in the middle of the sea. On board the Keiko Free Willy Foundation boat, we meet the director of the rehabilitation program, Mr. Nolan Harvey. For 3 years, he's been working towards the freedom of the movie star.
I think the biggest thing that Keiko represents, to me personally, is the challenge of an animal to get better. But I think one of the biggest things that it's providing is kind of a sense of hope for people.
In Klettsvik Bay, the Free Willy Foundation have built a bay pen for the animal. 18 years ago, Willy had been caught in these waters, and now right here he'll undergo the necessary training for a new life in newfound freedom. The divers Gunni Erlendsson and Smári Harðarsson are the only Icelandic members of the construction team.
The
work here for guys like us, this is an adventure, a dream job. Nice to take part in it.
Do you think Willy's going to be happy here in the water?
Yes, this is a dream world for him. For me, life on land is simply boring. I would much rather spend all my time underwater.
Will you have the opportunity to swim with the whale?
Yes, they have promised it.
Have you ever swum with a big whale before?
Not that close. I will probably pee in my pants when the time comes. When I have this giant right before my eyes, this close encounter with an animal so big, I'm afraid that my diving gear, my so-called dry suit, will be wet from the inside out. But it will be a great experience.
On the cliffs, a television team from Oregon is waiting for the light to improve. For 3 years, chief television reporter on the Keiko case.
It's been interesting. I mean, normally, a lot of the time we work on bad stories, like the school shootings and, crime and those kinds of stories are our normal news kind of beats, and this is certainly not that. I mean, this is light and potentially happy. It's potentially a happy story, providing the whale stays alive and all that. So.
Heimaey, the village on the bay, is chiefly populated by fishermen and hunters, as on most of the rest of the island. Men like Árni Hilmarsson. In August, we're experiencing the peak of the puffin season, not for the softy and no time for sentimentality.
To rehabilitate a whale, moreover, one who has been kept in a cage, sounds to me very much like sending an old man back to the disco scene.
The financing of Keiko's disco amounts to $2 million. And now 4 weeks before the arrival of the whale, Nolan Harvey is getting more excited.
This is the first time I've done this at this much of a magnitude. This is going to be something different. Nobody's ever tried this before, so this has been exciting from the start.
Smári and his team of divers do not have much time left for their preparations. In only a few days, the bay pen for the killer whale must be ready for occupation. Approximately 25 feet deep, lined with a wide mesh net and kept in place by 8 heavy anchors, this is definitely the largest sea aquarium ever constructed. You know the movie, you know the music by heart, now you're about to experience how a fairy tale is brought to reality. On the cliffs, the reality of the island. Thousands of puffins on their wings carried up towards the steep cliffs by the rising air currents. One more day of hard work for Outney the hunter. Open season lasts for only a period of 2 short weeks. Decoys are used to tempt the puffins closer, and then the sudden attack and the quick and painless breaking of the bird's neck. About 10 million puffins make their home in Iceland. Several of the families in Heimir are hunters, and the skill is passed on from father to son. Let those crazies down on the bay build their netted cage, Outney says. As long as they leave us alone and don't interfere, I don't give a damn. Down below we have an appointment with the very man who's responsible for the design of the bay pen, Jim Steyer.
The currents and the tide are manageable. The wind comes through here pretty strong sometimes, but we've overbuilt the cage, so we've built it to go through basically a hurricane. So unless something very, very dramatic happens, everything out here will be fine.
Only 1 week before the big day. The ferry from the mainland keeps bringing in the media people. More than 300 journalists and photographers are expected to arrive. Nolan Harvey, director of the programme, can hardly wait for his protégé to arrive. He's constantly on the move, to the harbour, where the last items being unloaded and brought ashore, and back through the lava fields to the observation point on the cliffs. The crane which will lift Keiko and place him in his seawater aquarium is there. Also cameras and television equipment, tons of it, and all available space on the harbour has been rented out to television crews.
One must be ready for everything when someone like you are coming. Isn't it the new age, in the truest sense of the word? The hectic of the new age?
Will the return of Keiko be a turning point in the life of the island? On Main Street, shopkeepers anticipate a Free Willy boom. In the car park at the lookout point on the cliffs, we meet Nolan Harvey.
I think we're going to see Keiko change dramatically once he's back here in his world. Nature's going to take over again, and he's going to become part of his world. He's still a wild animal. He's not domesticated like a dog or a cat. So those natural instincts of the wild are going to come back to him. And when those come back, that's going to change his whole focus on how he views things. And he's put up with human beings for a good number of years, but it's going to be exciting to see him become a killer whale in his own environment again.
Outney's final day of hunting was successful. Do you know, he asks offhandedly, how a killer whale hunts? I'll tell you. He plays with his prey for hours before ripping them open. Killer whales are hunters, not house pets. The night before the big day, Smauri the diver leaves his house for a new job. He's now security officer at the Free Willy Foundation. Journalists gather at the news centre to observe the live broadcast of preparations for the big trip. Goodbyes at Newport, Oregon, the loading of the animal into a narrow transport tub, the triumphal drive to the airport, yet not without regrets. The main attraction of the Newport Aquarium is taking leave of the state.
Bye-bye, Keiko.
For Nolan Harvey, the suspense ends at midnight with the announcement,
Plane is airborne. It just flew out over the top of the pool.
the US Air Force is sending its most modern cargo aircraft for the promotion flight, and the Pentagon press officer, Captain Maria Carl.
Well, I guess it's one important whale. But I guess more importantly, what's interesting about this project is the fact that it's brought together so many different organizations, governments in some cases, and organizations that aren't necessarily working together usually. It's kind of probably one of the more interesting things about this project.
In order to speed Keiko non-stop to his new home, the enormous C-17 has to be refueled twice during the flight over Canada. On the island, morning has broken. Árni, who was bent on directly experiencing the great spectacle of Willy's arrival, has to change his plans. Over the radio, he hears that a flock of geese has been sighted on the mainland. A hunter has no choice, Árni says. After all, this is what I live off. Sorry, Willy has to wait. As Árni and his brother leave the island on their hunting trip, the control tower at the airport announces the arrival of the C-17. "3,000 fans are waiting in great anticipation on the steep cliffs. 350 reporters and their teams grasp and hold for posterity this historical moment." Nolan Harvey is visibly relieved. According to the team aboard the C-17, the whale is fine. And Smári, the diver, acts in his newly vested power as security officer. All the press instantly keep a safe distance. 0 hour. The container holding Willy has touched down. A question from a reporter to Jean-Michel Cousteau.
Through Keiko's mind, you have any idea? Is he nervous now? Or?
Well, I don't think he's nervous. He's probably wondering, what's next. He's used to travel. He's gone all over the world, and now he's back home.
In 1 hour they'll start for the harbour. The public festivities can then begin. A pity that Willy is kept out of sight. The first fans are disappointed and angry.
This has nothing to do with the whale. In my opinion, this is all a question of making a little money.
Still, the mood rises a little, restrained optimism in the shops on Main Street.
The future lies in Keiko. We all want to make a lot of money on Keiko.
The onlookers are still crowding the harbour area. The last decisive stage of the long journey is about to begin. The short boat trip across the bay to the new aquarium and the first careful contact with the wild after 18 long years in captivity in much too warm, much too narrow pools. Closed aquariums, swimming pools lined with tiles and the enormous sheet of glass where gaping crowds of people used to line up. And now, after so many years, back to the icy North Atlantic Ocean. Keiko today has been travelling for 16 hours, completely motionless. Keiko's fine, his keepers assure us. He's beginning to speak. Jeff Foster, one of the keepers, keeps watching the sea. Are large fish coming close to the net? Perhaps other whales? Do the sounds Keiko's making indicate that he's making contact?
Greg, is he still vocalizing? Yeah, we just picked up a couple of sounds and we're just seeing if we can see it. Keiko is vocalizing a lot and hearing little clicks off in the distance, so could be something around, we'll see. Maybe a little minke whale or a harbor porpoise. You still got him? Andy? Still vocalizing?
And then the mysterious visitor appears on the scene, a seal. Outney the hunter and his brother now go about their fishing. New regulations have been posted. Anyone going past Keiko's bay pen has to reduce speed so as not to frighten the whale. Some precautions for a simple whale, Outney says, and tunes down the motor. At Keiko's pool we witness everyday life. Training just like in Oregon, no trace of rehabilitation. The game is absolutely necessary, we learn, since killer whales need company. In the sea they always live in large family groups, and here in the net the two keepers from the Keiko Foundation represent family. The contact with humans should not wear off as time passes, and the Foundation's experts sincerely hope that through Keiko they'll gain scientifically valuable access to a school of wild killer whales, says Jeff Foster.
We want to continue with some of the training so we maintain some kind of control on them, and so that if we do want to put a Keiko cam on him, we can do it. And also it just breaks up the routine of his day.
Since his arrival, Keiko's changed visibly. His keepers maintain he's much more active. His appetite has improved and he's gaining weight. His fat changes gradually to muscle, which he has to build up if he's to survive in the wild. Outney, whom we are now seeing regularly when he passes the bay, is skeptical.
I don't know how the poor boy is going to make it in his natural environment. He has been housebroken for such a long time. People have taught him to be nice and friendly, and goodness is simply good. It will be difficult now to train him to be aggressive.
Why do you think it can't be taught?
No, he's probably too old now. We have a saying, you cannot teach an old dog new tricks. I believe he is over the hill now and will not survive outside his pen.
But are you not somehow related as hunters, you and Keiko?
Yes, maybe, if he was still wild.
Are you wild?
Yes, I probably am. I was born here, and I grew up here in these surroundings.
Today is the big day for Smári the diver and security guard. Is this just what you wished for last summer?
Oh yes, exactly. To be with him in there, nothing can top that. We look at it alike, don't you think? And you can't really say he's small, can you?
After 18 years, Keiko should be used to being among humans, but whoever wants to swim with him had better know and adhere to the rules, was the advice of the whale experts to the diver Smauri. The whale is always the leader, they told him. He decides what one is allowed to do with him. He has moods just like people, and sometimes it's better to leave him alone. But most of all, he needs time to get used to and become friends with a newcomer.
Þið eru svona smá vinir. Þið eru svona smá vinir.
Já, við þekkjum bara hvern annan, sko.
Honum finnst greinilega mjög gott að láta gæla við sig.
Já.
On the cliffs above are the Willy fans. Only a few at the moment, but there are already visitors who find life unbearable without the daily visit to the Kletsvik Bay.
We drive out here 5 times a day.
Just to look at him.
Yes.
The beginning of November. The first heavy winter storm is sweeping the island, wind speed 13. This is the first real test of the resistance for Keiko's bay pen. A broken mesh in the net could be deadly for the whale. Keiko would not as yet have any chance of survival in the open sea. Diver Smauri is forced to take a break. It's time for his gym training. Smauri is the Icelandic bodybuilding champion. He lifts as much as Keiko eats for each meal. What about the storm? Is Keiko in danger?
The bay pen is extremely well constructed. The plastic pontoons to which the net is secured move in time with the waves and thus give no resistance.
As long as the raging storm lasts, there's no chance of going out to the pool. Not even when the weather somewhat improves, one can only peer from a distance. Is the net still intact below the surface? But next day the sea is again calm, making a long-awaited close inspection of the bay pen possible after a real storm. 3 of the anchor toes are apparently broken, but the pen itself is intact. The broken toes must be replaced immediately, since new and stronger storms can be expected any time at this time of year. Smauri is already out there by the pontoons, and his colleagues are setting off with the spare parts. The pool is provisionally closed off. Keiko watches, not without curiosity, the repairs in progress on the other side. As soon as the anchors are in place, the bay pen is reopened. Keiko is allowed to watch closely as the repair work comes to an end. This is great fun for him, Smauri says. At least something's finally happening, and I have nothing against him looking me closely over my shoulder. The undertaking is centrally directed from a hut on the pontoon. Radio contact is maintained with the diver's boat. The work is over. The pen is safe again, having by and large passed the resistance test, as Smauri later tells us. The storm had lasted several hours without causing any great damage. The next heavy storms can now be faced in a relatively relaxed manner. Tracy Carmuza of the Keiko Foundation team is computing information. How much time does Keiko spend below diving? How long does he swim on the surface? Biologists anticipate new facts on killer whale behavior and psychology. And what's Keiko eating now? Does he like Kaplan? A question put to Brian O'Neill.
He doesn't mind it. He likes the herring the best, but he's never had a problem with capelin. The squid, when we used to give him squid, he didn't like the squid very much.
All the facts on Keiko's behavior will be closely monitored and evaluated in the USA, in the Oregon Coast Aquarium in Newport, Keiko's previous home.
Up, low, down, go.
In the meantime, Smauri and his colleagues are diligently working on the reinforcement of the anchor ropes. The wind and waves have moved the pen about 10 or 12 feet from its original position, which calls for corrective measures. Keiko has an appointment with the dentist. Brian O'Neill looks after the animal's great teeth. This is just a routine checkup, but the foundation experts are obviously worried that Keiko may have been hurt in the storm. At the end of the checkup, Keiko enjoys his usual reward, a between meals treat. After all, he is a little spoilt. The result is promising, Brian O'Neill tells us.
Just to make sure there's no wounds or cuts or anything. Check his teeth to make sure they're not infected.
2 months after the move, Keiko was still being fed by his keepers. But now he'll have to begin to look out for himself and start diving for prey. For a whale who for almost 20 years had had dead fish thrown right into his mouth, the first tentative preparations for the hunting of live fish represent quite a change. Sometime in the early spring he'll be given live cod and salmon, large enough not to be able to escape through the net. And then, in May or June perhaps, the plan is to close Kletsvik and turn the entire bay into a giant pool for Keiko, the penultimate step towards freedom. Free Willy, the road back to the wild. The dream will not come true for at least another 3 years. If Orkney proves wrong about rehabilitation of wild animals in captivity, Keiko should be ready to swim out into the open sea in 2001, and there perhaps be reunited with his old family.